Kyle Davidson, Anders Sorensen, and the players have spoken about the firing of Luke Richardson. Hear from all of them next on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy, what day is it? Friday. Welcome into the CHGO.
It's bonus day.
Blackhawks podcast on what was supposed to be an off day, but no. Not for us. We've got Blackhawks news to cover, and I see lots of people already active in the chat. Thank you. We love you.
Future Bears head coach Bill Belichick says no days off.
That's right. No days off. We heard from Kyle Davidson.
Except I want a day off.
We heard from the players. We heard from Anders Sorensen. We'll get into that later, too. I have a beef with Anders. But we're just going to basically tackle it in order. We'll hear from in the first segment. You'll hear from Kyle Davidson. Second segment, the players. Third segment will be Sorensen and our sort of feelings on the day. Before we get to all of it, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, we thank you. We love you. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. If you've noticed, we were feeding up a lot of video and quotes and everything from practice today. So if you enjoyed that and all the effort we put into the day before we even got on the air, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify would be a great way to say thank you. Yeah. We would really, really appreciate that. So I suppose we should just get right into it because there's a lot to get into.
There's a lot to tackle. Yeah, for sure.
So before we get into the Davidson talk, basically what he said was, and we'll get to it a little bit later in these comments, but the opening statement was they were just seeing too many mistakes that seemed correctable.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the tenor of the reason for the firing. He does get a little more specific later on, but I want to make sure I mention that opening statement before we get into it. So he was asked early on in the press conference if he's been underwhelmed by the performance of his free agents so far, specifically Teuvo Teravainen and Tyler Bertuzzi.
I don't think I've been underwhelmed by players. I think it's just, I think our team as a whole has not quite been what, realistically what we expected us to be at this point. I think we expect to be a bit further ahead than we are. Having said that, I think, if you ask almost every player to a person in that room, they'll say they need to be better. And so, I don't think that's a secret that, we'd like to see some more execution from the players. I think that's across the board, though, right? This is a team game. You're not where you are in the standings because of 1, 2, or 3 players. It's a team concept, and you've got to execute within that team concept. And I think the players know that they have to step up and they have to be cleaner in their games. And so I don't think that's anything that's a secret to anyone in that room.
I mean, obviously, he's not going to say, yes, my free agents have sucked.
Yeah, he's not going to bus toss anybody.
But in fairness, everyone's kind of sucked. And I do think part of it is, as we get in through the show, you'll kind of get this echoing from players and Davidson himself. Like, I think partly is the system is what made these guys not do great this year. I think there's definitely coaching was certainly part of it, it seems.
Yeah, I think there's an execution part of it for the players on the ice to play within the system and structure and the instructions that you're given. There's another part of it that is, from the coaching standpoint, recognizing the shortcomings, recognizing the problems and issues, and trying to do what you can to correct it. And the word that stuck out to me from Davidson was that he described the things that led to losses game to game being habitual. And we've heard from so many players and Luke Richardson himself about, you don't want the cycle of losing to create bad habits. And I think from Davidson's perspective, they had created too many bad habits, and they happened too often, basically every game. And as Richardson said in his last post-game press conference, it's not a single problem that happens every game, but every game has a familiar problem to it. There's multiple problems. It's just roll the dice, pick which one is going to cost you each night. So some of it's players, some of it's coaching. We've been talking about, this team needing a change, whether it's a trade, a call-up, a coaching decision for a few days now, a few weeks now. And the first option they're going with is the coach. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll hear through these answers from Kyle Davidson. As you mentioned, the bad habits and the lack of scoring was eventually what did Luke Richardson in here in Chicago. And Kyle Davidson said this isn't a last place team,
right?
But they are. So you change. Regardless of what you thought of what Luke Richardson did, if you thought that this was the right time for this move or not, the decision was made. Something that stuck out in my mind is this. He said it. I'm not sure if it's part of one of our clips, but he says, once you pass that threshold, okay, we'll hear it later, but that's where it's like, once you start thinking that I need to make a coaching change, you can't go back. And people say, well, how did it get done this so quickly? At the beginning of November, he had told Ben Pope that that was ridiculous. But you got to remember, he talked to him coming off that 3-2 road trip.
Well, and he specifically said that.
And he said we beat Dallas and we beat Florida. They took 5 out of 6 points from Dallas, Florida, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Things were going to turn around, and then nope, right back to where we were. Same old crap. He just put an end to the cycle.
Yeah, and we actually don't. By the way, we do not have that specific cut ready for the show. The entire thing is up there on YouTube if you want to watch it. But he basically says decision was made after Boston.
And I do want to point out a stat that our buddy Tab Bamford over at Bleach Nation Blackhawks pointed out. I believe it was last night. Yeah. So the Blackhawks have been – so since Kyle Davidson talked to Ben Pope, that was November 3rd. Seth Jones has been out since November 14th. And the Blackhawks have also gone from 19th in the NHL in expected goals in the expected goals for percentage to dead last. They went from 48.8% at that point in November 3rd to 42.2. So that's over a month. That's a drastic change.
Yeah, that's how a coach can say, or that's how a general manager can go from saying firing the coach is ridiculous to firing the coach.
Yeah,
things go poorly for a while. Again, I'm still surprised it happened this quickly, but kudos to Kyle Davidson for identifying something that could be done. Firing a coach is a lot easier than trying to trade 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah.
So you made the move.
Next up on the docket, one everyone's very interested in. So Frank Nazar, he's doing pretty well down in Rockford, Kyle.
I think with any player, Frank specifically or as a group of these players, you just want to do what's best for their development. Frank's played very well. He's been a real bright spot for us, and his performance has been really exciting. So I think I think I'd like to just let the group kind of settle here a little bit. It's a big shift, big change. Let's get a couple of games under our belt. Rockford's got a couple of games this weekend, and I think the middle of next week. But we're always evaluating, we're always watching. But as it pertains to Frank, I don't think he's done anything to hurt his case. But what that means for recall, I think we've just got to kind of take that day by day and see where it goes.
That's a door open.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's an unlocked backyard fence door.
That's to me that sounds like I'm going to let Anders get settled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then looky here.
See,
well, I think too, Sorenson, like first line center, Philip Kurashev. Do something about it.
Yeah. Well, it is going to be Bedard as first line center, though there was some confusion there. with the lineup in practice. Okay. But yeah, I right before the whole rush of everything, I quickly said to Tavo, I was just like, was Kershev or Bedard the center on your line? And he was like, it was Bedard. So I was like, all right, good. Just cleared that up because he would know.
You'd think.
But yeah, it seems like, you have this big shift in the coaching change. You let the team kind of marinate with it for a while. You get a home game tomorrow. Then you go on the road for 3 games in the New York, New Jersey area, which includes playing next Saturday night or Saturday afternoon in New Jersey, and then coming home for a Sunday game against the Islanders, who you played two days prior, back-to-back afternoon weekend games. My feeling of it is that they're going to let those next 5 games play out, and then once that all settles down, we'll probably reevaluate where the team is at with how they're playing under Anders, and then you look at what's going on in Rockford. If things are consistently as bad as they were prior to Richardson getting fired, then I think you strongly consider the player personnel change, whether it's a trade or a call up. But if things, if you get that new coach bump and things look like they're going in a different, better direction, then I think it probably holds off the Frank Nazar, Colton Dock, whoever call up till maybe after the Winter Classic.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was some Frank Nazar included in some of the promo materials of the Winter Classic. I did see his picture on something. I can't remember exactly which thing, but he was part of it.
Trying to sell tickets.
Yeah, well, I got to sell jerseys too. So, I mean, that comment there was pretty, like, he didn't say no.
What he's doing is he's saying he sees what we see too.
Right.
Like, he can't say, I'm calling him up on Wednesday, but he's saying, we see.
Yes, I know he's doing good. Yeah. I know we can't score up
It's not a surprise to him that he's not putting on his readers and looking at the score sheet and going,
and you have the coach up here now that, put Nazar in a position to succeed down there, and he took advantage of it. So I don't think it's going to have to. We'll wait very long. Now maybe they go on this East Coast road trip, and this is a really good time to be playing the Rangers and the Islanders because those two teams suck out loud.
Quickly.
Well, the Rangers don't have their captain anymore.
Jacob Trouba just traded to Anaheim for stuff. It just dawned on me mid-show that they have Radko Gudas and Jacob Trouba.
Oh, yeah.
And thankfully, they don't have to play them one more time.
No Temple will be safe. There will be plenty of elbows to be had.
I'm starting to think Pat Verbeek might not be cut out for a general manager job, but we'll see.
What do you mean? He's a former player. He must be fully qualified.
FYI, third straight Rangers captain to be traded midseason.
Yeah, that's wild.
Great organization you got up there.
Make
great organization.
Make Rempe the new captain. They would never trade him.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past the Rangers to do that.
That wouldn't. Yeah, you know what? If any team's going to do it, it's the Rangers.
Good time to play the Rangers. But maybe with Trouba out of there, they're all of a sudden going to turn
even on the roster.
They're going to get the new captain bump.
Sure.
The new coach bump.
But yeah, I think if, there's no magic wand Anders Sorensen's going to have here to all of a sudden make this a playoff team. No. The team is what he is, but he could put them in better positions to succeed, or at least, try something different. The lines aren't going to be much different, but the systems appear to be slightly different.
The messaging and philosophy seems like it will be different.
Yeah, I mean, there was one moment today in practice. The practice today felt like first day of training camp.
It was like
practice.
45 minutes. I think it was 42 minutes.
It was fast paced. They did passing, tape to tape, fast drills. Everything was high tempo. Everything was high energy. And then there was a moment where they were doing power play, and Teuvo Teravainen made a bad pass that got picked off. Shocking. And he put his head back like this, and Anders tapped his stick. Go, Teuvo, let's go. Come on, do it. Like, really. I mean, I don't know if that's first day things or stuff like that, but it's like you didn't see. Not saying Luke never did that thing, but like, just it's jumped off the page.
The word that kept coming up today was pace.
Pace, yeah.
Everyone was using the word pace. It was very, very important. All right, we are at the break zone. More Kyle Davidson coming up next, as well as some of the players. Stick with us. Hit that like button for us. We'll be right back here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Did you guys know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
I usually zone out during the break zone. That's why I thought the zone and break zone.
Break zone
means.
Break zone out.
I did not know that. No.
Well, that's it. Believe it. The energy efficiency program from ComEd can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
Holy smokes!
Wow.
Woo!
35%. That's a lot of percents.
It's a lot.
So what does a business have to do to get all those percents?
All a business has to do is sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz.
Even though I never remember this, I will never understand why more businesses aren't doing this.
I don't understand it either, why more businesses are doing it or why you can't remember it. Maybe it's a hard website to remember.
It is comed.com/biz.
That's
ComEd.com/biz.
ComEd.com/biz. That is the website that you need to go to. Terms and conditions do apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. And the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
Yes.
Which is good.
You know what else is good? Coors Light.
It sure is.
It's delicious.
Always.
The best.
100% of the time, you crack open a Coors Light, you know it's going to be crisp. You know it's going to be refreshing. It's probably going to be cold as hell because it is the coldest beer available.
It'll tell you how cold it is.
Yes. It's cold brewed, all that cold stuff.
Cold
filtered.
packaged.
Cold packaged, cold filtered, all of it. It is meant to be cold like it is outside today. And if you're looking for an opportunity to choose chill metaphorically, because we're already very cold outside, when you do, choose chill with the Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. When those mountains turn blue, it will be as cold as the Rockies. So when you embrace the chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, as I try to enunciate through my cold and my voice that is going away.
Hang in there. We got a lot of sound left. We're good for you.
Yes. All right, back to what?
Go ahead. I just forgot the point I wanted to make, so
Sweet. Put a pin in that. Yep. Let's hit the super chat we got here, though. I know we got a significant one. $10 from Mahaffey Max. I'm just going to call them Max from now on.
Yeah, Max Mahaffey. Sure.
Of all the AHL call-ups we've been asking for, anyone think it'd be Sorensen? No expectations for a midseason change like this, but hope he takes some risks and can find some chemistry and consistency. I think it's very clear that everyone was ready for a change. And it wasn't necessarily against Luke or anything specifically, but I think it just felt like time.
It seems like that was the understanding around the players, and I think if you ask Luke himself if he was shocked, he probably would say not really, because of the way the season had been going, the results they were getting, and just the nature of the job. So I don't think it didn't seem like this was any kind of internal mutiny or anything like that. But I don't think a lot of people within the organization are surprised at this move. I do remember the point I wanted to make to the Tavo thing that you were saying.
Yeah.
It seems like coming in day one, what Anders wants to do is, again, with pace and tempo and everything, you want to come in and make a change, and you don't want you're coming in to try and break these guys out of this slump and this spell. So you don't want to give them opportunities to kind of feel sorry for themselves, especially in a practice. Like first practice, you want to be high tempo. You want to go. If you're making mistakes, at least make them at 100% and you move on quickly. Because if you sit there and you stew in these mistakes of this is happening again, I can't make any passes, then you're just gonna dig yourself deeper. So if you force yourself to snap out of it, so you move on to the next opportunity to get it right. And
real quick, as the team was stretching today, Anders basically said, effort is going to lead to results. Yep. Like he was shouting it to the group. Not that they had a good practice, like you were saying,
effort is going to
Good
fix
pace.
things. is
Yeah,
what he
effort's
said.
going to fix a lot of things.
Yes.
Yep.
It's
He's not
noteworthy. Yeah.
Not
All right,
wrong.
next cut here. Kyle Davidson was sort of asked for specifics on why he reached the decision on Luke Richardson, and here's what he had to say.
It's just the basic execution, right? Like, if it's, why are we icing the puck at tough times? Like, what's the cause? Let's peel that back. What's that? Turnovers in bad spots in the ice. Let's peel that back and understand why, and how do we fix that? Execution on passes. Special teams have generally been all right, but can we think through some things like that a bit better? And so there's all these little things, and like I named a few, but it's so hard just to be like, we lost because we iced the puck too much. That's not realistic. That's not true. It's just, over the course of games, things add up, right? And when you execute at a higher level, you give yourself the better chance to not only possess the puck, to create offensive chances, and then to win the game. And so, defensively, I think we've been pretty solid. I think we've cleaned up a lot of the mistakes that we saw last year. Pretty decent on the other end, but in transitioning the puck and possessing the puck a bit more and creating offenses, that's been tough. And so, but there's always things to improve upon. I think we just like to see a higher execution game and a cleaner game.
Yeah, pace and a cleaner game is also a recurring theme. And if you watched any Hawks hockey this year, you knew that everything looked hard. I can't imagine how many times I've said to you, we said, me, Greg, Mario, so Mario can't really hear me.
That's kind of like how we sit here.
Yeah. But I always say to Greg, everything is so difficult all the time.
Yeah.
The simple eludes this team so often. And make note, like you said, of the first drill they did under Anders Sorensen is pass it to each other as if it was a little league practice, like line up across from your partner and throw the ball back and forth.
Yeah.
That's basically what they were doing.
Yeah.
Tape to tape transitional passes.
Yes, blue line to blue
need
line.
Quick interjection here. You talk about the way you guys sit all the time.
Yes.
Now, the last time I sat with you, we were on an airplane and we were in seats directly in a row behind each other, like back to back to back, whatever. And then this morning I saw the photo from the Davidson presser, and you guys were in a row the same way. Is that
We're
you guys always sit that
contractually
way?
obligated to be near each other at all times
Yes.
during work
But
purposes.
in the press conference,
In the press room,
situation,
today was different because it was
Oh
so
my God, it was
crowded.
nuts in there.
There was about
the most people there.
30
have been.
times more people than there usually. It's
the Bedard photo you posted.
when he walked in, he was quoting himself in every shift.
Bedard.
Beep. He walked in and went, holy beep,
Yeah.
when he saw the throng of media and the thong
yeah,
of media.
Today was
Was it Jake Cohen?
We do not have no FOCO ads.
But I was standing there. I didn't even get in the Bedard scrum because
What's the point?
It
it was
wasn't
too
and
far
I was
away.
making sure anybody else was going to start talking, and standing next to Rick Ball, and I was like, "Is this what like a normal off day looks like in Calgary?" And he was like, "Yeah, kind of."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
we're not in Calgary
I
for
mean,
many
the-
reasons.
A lot of reasons.
The veterans of the Hawks beat, Laz and Tracy, were like, they were just saying, like, man, remember when it was like this every day for practice? That would have been something. But
Someday.
you know what? They were winning Stanley Cups and they had Hall of Famers in the room, so it makes sense.
All right.
Ted says he's imagining us guys sleeping in the bed like the Three Stooges. We almost took a picture like that
It
in
was a missed
Utah.
opportunity.
We had a chance.
The house in Utah.
Yeah, they had a three beds in a row
They had a
up on the
three
top
bears room.
floor. We were going to take a picture, but we never got around to it. Son of a bitch.
All right. We need some discipline here. We got to come on. We're
that's-
moving too slow.
Sorry, Anders.
Jeez. All right. Next up, will prioritizing a veteran NHL coach be the focus for Kyle Davidson once the search begins?
We'll see. I'm not too sure where that'll shake out. It's very possible we will value it, but we just haven't gotten into that process of really establishing the framework of exactly what we're looking for. I think we want to see how the season goes. Maybe what our personnel will look like moving forward, and determine what works best with that. Experience isn't a bad thing, but I'm not sure where it'll fall. It's something you're always under. It's always under consideration, and especially at the NHL level, it's not nothing. That's for sure. And so I think we'll get into that process as we progress through the year and determine what we're looking for. But there's a lot of fit from a philosophical standpoint, from communication. Some of those tools and those traits that coaches possess that will be very high on our list as well. And so we'll bake that mix when the time is right and figure out what it is we're specifically looking for.
Open-minded. That's what you want your GM to be.
Yeah.
You don't want him to say, I am hiring a veteran NHL head coach that's been fired 5 times in other markets because, they've been fired too.
Yeah, I think there's it sounds like it's basically a guarantee unless John Cooper's fired tomorrow that Anders.
We got to let's do the Braggs thing.
Yes.
We got to get Braggs on the show and just have him
Mm-hmm.
start a campaign to get John Cooper fired.
Yeah, Brad from Tampa.
Brad from Tampa, yes.
But yeah, it really does seem like Anders is getting the entire season, the rest of the season, and then they're going to evaluate in the offseason because as Kyle said, it was just kind of like you don't know who's going to be available. Guys, you want to coaches there are coaches currently employed that you probably want to talk to in the offseason should they become unemployed, and some of them are trending in that direction. So, it definitely seems like this is going to be a rest of the season long audition for Anders, and then go from there. And you have plenty of time and options out there in the offseason. And first time around didn't go well for Kyle, obviously, because we're talking about it today, him firing a coach. So you kind of have to get it right second time around, because I don't know the leash that the front office above Kyle Davidson has on him, but I'd imagine it's not necessarily 3 or 4 coaches long. Like I think there's definitely going to be some pressure on him to get the right coach for the team in the current moment, and it's going to have to be somebody that can push them beyond, because a lot rides on that for Davidson.
Yeah, I mean, those comments definitely made it sound like, hey, I might be waiting for a few guys to become unemployed here. And I know you put out a thing this morning, kind of an early assessment of the coaching market.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are going to change between now and the end of the season when this coaching search is going to kick in the high gear. The one guy, if I had to say that my not necessarily favorite to get the job, but the guy I would love to see get the job, is one of those guys that needs to be unemployed first. But if the Penguins let go of Mike Sullivan, that is the guy I bring in.
Makes a lot of sense.
That is the guy that is here because he's a good enough coach to get the young players to the next level. And then once they're ready to compete, he's a 2-time Stanley Cup winner. Got to roll with it.
Makes a ton of sense. Just got a quote sent to us by the Blackhawks from Luke Richardson, sent to us by the Blackhawks. Here's the quote. Luke says, "I am grateful to the Wirtz family and Kyle Davidson for giving me the opportunity to be the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. Being a part of an original 6 team and all the history it carries with it is a true privilege. I am proud to have worked alongside some truly great men and women in this organization. I would like to express my thanks to all of the players for their effort, their commitment, and their passion for the game. I am also grateful to the Blackhawks fans for how they welcomed my family and I to the city and the support they have for the team. I wish the team and their fans the best for the rest of the season." That is Luke Richardson, sent moments ago to the beat. So there it is. There is Luke Richardson saying all the right things. And look, man, the next thing we're going to hear from Kyle is how difficult it was to fire Luke Richardson. And I think regardless of how anyone felt about him as a coach, there is a consensus on him as a human being. Just covering him was a privilege. He was a coach that was always open, never treated anybody like an idiot for asking a question, always did his best to answer honestly and with detail instead of just blowing people off like a lot of other NHL coaches would do. I really like covering Luke, and I know he will be back in the NHL in short order. Okay, a little more from Kyle Davidson, then we'll hear from the players next on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
You right over there, Jay?
Nope.
You maybe need to make a trip over to Sunnyside. Help yourself feel a little bit better.
Again,
getting over the end of that that cold there. What is Sunnyside? You might be asking yourself. Well, I'll tell you. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your winter, summer, spring, or fall year-round. You can go there. It's a one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city like in Wrigleyville and River North, or in the suburbs like Champaign and South Beloit, and many other locations. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. To get that, you got to enter the promo code CHGO, that's HICHGO, at checkout to qualify for that offer. Exclusions do apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for those 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders.
And we're also sponsored by the Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. They're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit CHSN.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long.
Yes,
right.
Do that. It's very easy to find how to do it on their website. All right, let's move on. One more cut from Kyle Davidson. This is one we were just talking about on how difficult it was to fire Luke Richardson because of their personal relationship.
It's really hard. You have to separate the personal. It is a business and it's a business decision. So when you come to a conclusion, you have to be swift and decisive and act on it. Having said that, I think everyone in this room that's had interaction to some extent with Luke knows what a special person he is. I was fortunate enough to get to know him on a personal level, get to know his family on a personal level, and I was talking to someone else recently, and they said to me, which I thought was an interesting quote, that life is a team game, and if you're looking for teammates in life, Luke and Stephanie Richardson are some of the best you'll find. So,
Phil Thompson making general manager cry.
Kyle was very glad the conference was over after that question.
Yeah, definitely.
That one messed him up a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it does speak to I think a lot of times we get in the grind of, this guy sucks, this guy's an idiot, yada yada, because we don't like the way the wins and losses are shaken out, or we don't like the lines or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and Luke Richardson is a very good one. So wishing him the best. And I think, again, the statement he issued really illustrates that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've all had really good interactions with Luke in the time that he's been here. And yeah, all the personal accounts from him, we'll hear from Nick Foligno as well. Like, quality, grade A person within the hockey world. And can't say anything more about that.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that.
Elliot Friedman on today's 32 Thoughts podcast, if you checked it out, had mentioned that when Luke Richardson got this job, there were a lot of people around the NHL that were cheering for him to succeed. Well-liked, well-respected individual within the game. And as you said earlier, Jay, it's not if he's going to get another job in the NHL, but when he'll be on somebody's staff next season. I have no doubts about that. And I could see him getting another head coaching job. Some of these other guys are getting head coaching jobs. He definitely, he was not given much to work with over his 2.25 seasons, whatever. I mean, this year was supposed to be different and it wasn't. That's why he's not here. But like that first season was about taking players away from him. And then that last year is, about, hey, don't win too many games and then it just didn't work out. But I think he's smart enough to know that he'll realize where his faults were and his flaws, and the next stop in his career, he'll learn from that and do it differently. And that's all you can, that's what you want is, just because you become an NHL head coach doesn't make you all knowing and an expert at everything. You have to change too, especially if you want longevity, you have to adapt and evolve. And it just seemed like Luke didn't want to do that necessarily. He wanted to keep doing his defensive first system when it clearly wasn't getting the job done, instead of, maybe adapting his system to his roster. He wanted his roster to keep working on his system, and it wasn't working. And now we've got a different system.
Well, I mean, it's adapt or die. And you talk about, a name that we saw a lot yesterday was Mike Babcock, which is not going to happen.
No.
But that is a head coach that failed to evolve with the game.
And now the game has said.
And the game has left him behind.
See ya.
And he probably won't coach. Someone might take a stab at him, but
I don't know.
It seems very unlikely he's going to coach again. Yeah.
Somebody tried to, and it blew up in their face miraculous. Spectacularly blew up in their face. So yeah.
Yeah, if Jeremy Colleton can get back into coaching pretty quickly, I think Luke Richardson will be able to land on his feet.
He'll be just fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the Hawks locker room where it is musty and hot. And there's some music, but we're setting a scene.
It's musty.
There's people banging skates on the ice, getting the ice off. Equipment managers everywhere. Media we've never seen before, pushing beat writers out of the way.
Yeah.
So let's get into the scrum here with Blackhawks captain
cameraman
Nick Foligno. Here is the full 5.5 minutes of what Nick Foligno had to say. All good stuff. So
it was one question.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right. Here's Nick Foligno after practice today.
I think you're sad for the man and for the family, and you take a little bit of ownership too. And fire coaching means you're not in a position that you want to be in, right? So, as the captain and as somebody that cares a lot about that guy, it's tough to see. But at the same time, I've been in this business long enough to know that it's the way it goes when you're not playing to the potential you need to play at, and I think Luke understands that as well. And I think that's why they made the move. I mean, we have to start climbing the hill here, and it's it's the reality of the situation we're in, right? There's more expected of us, and I think it's a message throughout the room when you see that happen. So, it's disappointing because you care a lot about people you work with, and he's as good as they come in the business, but we weren't getting the job done.
What areas specifically you guys feel you need to improve on?
Well, I think as a whole, just our consistency, right? Our details and our ability to get the job done, right? Like that's really, results matter, and I just find that we were just too inconsistent as a group, and that's not fully on Luke. It's on the group here. I think that's where the message was today too. Is you take it collectively. It's everyone needs to take ownership of this, and that's the sad part is one person maybe takes the fall, but it's all of us that need to be better in here. And we're excited to get to work with Anders, and I think Luke would want us to forge ahead too, right? Like he cares a lot about this group and this organization. So the best we can do is get moving ahead here and show that we can be that team.
Have you had a chance to talk to Luke yet?
Yeah, I talked to him last night, and it's always, it's a tough conversation. And, I've known Luke for as long as I've been in the NHL. And before that, actually, we rented his house in Toronto when my dad was playing there. So, it's a tough day for the personal side of things, but the competitor inside of us, and myself included, is we're not happy with where we're at. So we have to make changes, and that's we're excited to get working with Anders. I've heard lots of great things, and now we got to put it into motion here as we move forward and try to get ourselves back on track.
Can it be tough for a rookie coach to come in with no NHL coaching experience and win over a veteran in the room?
I don't think so, because I think if you look around the room, sadly, probably a lot of us are in that position, have been in this position before. You don't play in the NHL this long without unfortunately seeing coaches fired, and so I think we can help him along, and I think we can help each other. I think he's coming in here to do that. I think he knows a lot of the prospects that he's had here. I think he's seen and been around this organization long enough to know what the standard is, and we're going to try and get to that. So I think we're excited to work with him and help him get there, and he'll help us, and it'll be a collaboration, so to speak. But he's a guy that has expectations, and you can see that out there even in practice today. There's a way he wants to play, and we should be excited about that.
What was Anders' message to the team today?
just that, today obviously there's a lot of emotions, and there's a million things that are probably going through everyone's head, but just try to get better today. I like that. It just simplifies it, right? Like, we're not going to just become a Stanley Cup contending team today, so let's just get a little bit better today. Let's just work on what we can control, and I think if we have that mindset, the mountain won't feel so steep to climb either, right? We got to pull ourselves out of it, but every day we get a little bit better, then you're going to like where you're at down the road. So I think that's the message, and I think as he works harder, or as he works more with us and we work harder at finding our game, we're going to like where we're at.
Do you have to talk to the young players who have never gone through this, specifically to what happens and what they have to deal with going forward?
Yeah, I think you talk to them a little bit and explain to them, what this is. This is the reality of the NHL. This is the business side that maybe they haven't seen before, and it's unfortunate when you lose good people. But the standard always has to be winning hockey games, right? And we've fallen short of that. Where the past has been more of a let's get through this turbulent time, whereas now there's a little bit more of a raised expectation. I mean, we're not. Listen, we went into this season, we're not expecting to jump into the Stanley Cup, right? Like, we understand where we're at. You don't go from A to Z, but there has to be a progression, and we just, we haven't hit that as much as we'd like. There's been moments where we can see us climbing, and then we've kind of fallen off, and right now it's not acceptable with where we're at this far into the season. So I think, like I said to every guy, take it personally and understand that you have a part in this. And whether your game is where it needs to be or it isn't, you have an opportunity here to get it going in the right direction, and hopefully we can do that.
When we talked a week or two ago, you said that you felt like the 1-2-2 forecheck had helped, and obviously other systems that Luke put in place as well. Do you think some system changes could help this team?
There's always, yeah. I mean, I think for what we were trying to accomplish at the time, and it was definitely helping our defensive side of the game. But, with that, you always do have to compensate for other areas, and maybe we overcompensated. And so I'm sure there'll be some system tweaks and things that we can do to get some more, pressure in certain aspects. We even talked about our neutral zone, as you can see today, and where we can be a little more aggressive. So, yeah, with every coach, there's a different style, and I think we're excited about being a little bit more aggressive. We think we need to be. I think we're a good skating team. It just has to, now be a way we work in the details of that, right? Like, you can do any system you want, but if you're not doing it to the details and to the way it needs to be done, it doesn't work. And I think that's where we have to get a little bit better. Whatever we're asked to do, be sharper, execute better, understand the details, and if you fall below that, you're told.
Nick Foligno, a lot of guys talking about system. Look for it to be a lot more aggressive from the defensive side. Like, if you watched our last few breakdowns with Petey, he would always sort of illustrate that the defensemen always head back. Mm-hmm. They're very passive, always trying to prevent a scoring chance against, which obviously that's what a defenseman is supposed to do. But it was costing them offensive zone time and offensive pressure because they were playing such a passive style. And Sorensen, who you'll hear from here in a little bit, basically says that. Like, they want the defenseman to be more active, to be more forward moving. Maybe he's not really saying, like, go be Erik Karlsson and circle behind the net. No, but don't just retreat.
Don't don't make your first step backwards all the time.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the way the defensemen have played in Rockford the last couple of seasons. Obviously, this year he had guys who excel at that with Levshunov and Korchinski there, but Isaac Phillips has put up some decent offensive numbers down there. We looked last season, Ethan Del Mastro. Yeah. He's been lauded as a stay-at-home defensive guy, and that's really what he is. But he shows put up some offensive numbers during his rookie season down there as well.
It's about a half point per game.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
He had 30 assists. 7 goals and 30 assists in 69 very nice games.
Nice season.
So he wants the defense. Like Luke said it a lot. We want our offense. We want our defensemen to be active in the offensive, but they didn't play that way.
Right.
You said with Petey, and I kind of tried to ask Alex Vlasic that yesterday or 12 days ago, whenever that show was. Like, hey, because of the offense is struggling, do you get a little more tentative on those 50-50 plays? And he recognized that we have to do a better job at that. Was it worried that, like, hey, if I do this and it blows up on our face, I'm going to get yelled at because I'm not playing within the system? Well, now the defensemen, I think, are going to have more of a role here. And I've always said in this day and age in NHL, you have to have all 5 of your guys active in the offensive zone to score. Your defensemen have to be active with the puck, not just waiting to go back.
It just makes the zone exit for the opponent that much easier.
Yeah, and and it puts your forwards at a disadvantage too if your defensemen aren't there to kind of help them out. Like it's.
Well, I mean, if we want to reference Joe Quenneville, he always talked about puck support. Guys have to have when guys find themselves in trouble, they have to have options, multiple options to move the puck, because even if you have just one, the opponent's very aware of your solitary option and can defend it very easily. And I think that's part of what started hurting the Hawks, was they were just so damn predictable to play against. The teams knew exactly how to defend them, exactly how to forecheck them, exactly where they were going with the puck. And that's why things changed. All right, now we're going to move. We're going to turn to about 2 o'clock, 2 lockers to the right, and we're going to talk to Jason Dickinson.
I feel like I'm there.
I know, right? I'm really painting a picture. And I appreciate the sepia tones here from the Blackhawks on their video. Very dramatic effect, filming here, which we appreciate. This is Jason Dickinson asked if he was surprised by the timing of the firing.
Not really. It's not that it's surprising. It's there's not a good time. There's not a time where everybody would have been like, this is the day you need to make the decision. So it's not too late in the season. There's still hope. There's still lots of hockey. You can win a lot of games in a row and put yourself right back into a conversation. So I think it's maybe a little bit better sooner rather than later, because that way you've still got a chance. Whether we make playoffs or not, that's still to be determined. But to see growth and some sort of potential coming out of this latter half of the season, that's really what is possible here. If you wait till the last few weeks of the season, maybe you've got some guys that are checked out, guys that are just moving on, it's over. But right now there's still hope, there's still a lot to play for, and it's a worthwhile time to do something like this, to maybe shake the group up and say, hey, time to show up. It's on the players now.
I'm going to talk very quietly to start here, and then I will slowly build up so you can adjust your volume. Sorry, that was a little bit low on the volume side there, but that is courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. I love Dickinson because he is always very thoughtful in what he says. Mm-hmm. And I think it was important to leave that and that few seconds of thought in there. Because if you take that out, young producers, it changes the tone of the entire thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I like what he has to say. He's always thoughtful. And he sort of said it like, it is not too late. And maybe they felt like they were getting to that point where some complacency was setting in and some resignation was setting in, where players were like, well, all right, well, we suck. So how many more games here until we get to hit the golf course again? By doing this, you inject some life, you inject some energy, and who knows? Look, they're not going to make the playoffs, but at least they could be, as we talked about, them being competitive and in games, and maybe they get themselves back into the in the hunt category as the season goes on.
That would be quite the accomplishment. Yeah, hey, 56-0, that's 112 points. You add that to 18, that's 130.
That's President's Trophy.
Yeah, you might be top seed in the league.
That's regular season championship banner right there.
That's big. No, I think his point is correct. If you're making this move, doing it now is better than waiting too long, because then you get to a point where all optimism is gone rather than most of it. So I think this team was never realistically going to be in a playoff chase. But I think if you can make this change, you can maybe change things up, have an opportunity for things to go back in the right direction so that you get this team playing up to expectations. And maybe they are playing at a 70-point pace in the standings by the time it's all said and done. And at that, I mean, if they make this change and they finish the year with like 70 points in the standings, you can point at it and say, like, that was a drastic improvement, because right now they're on pace to basically match their worst season the last 2 years. So if you make that change and you get things going in that other direction, obviously it doesn't mean much as far as like competitiveness in the grand scheme of things, but it means something that this roster would be getting back to what it was expected to do.
Yeah. Stop beating yourselves. Let the other team beat you. Stop beating yourselves. I wrote about that in the last Morning Chirps, where it's just like it's the self-inflicted wounds time in and time and again that just keep happening. So, if you can clean that up, still lose games, but it's because the other team's better, not because you let them win.
Yeah.
You can deal with that. If you get back to that and you've somehow finished this season in that 70 to 75 point range where we pretty much all had them in the first place, then you can be okay. Like,
it wasn't all lost.
Yeah, the season was salvageable. Good things happened. Something to build off of next year, and then you figure out who's going to be behind the bench next season.
And if they get there to 70, 75 points, Sorensen is a candidate.
Sure,
in my mind.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see them unless this is a complete disaster. I don't see them at the end of this, no matter who they hire for head coach, where Sorensen is let go by the organization.
Right.
They really like him. He's done a really good job with the prospects in Rockford. So I don't know if it's kind of like with King. Do you keep him as an assistant or do you let him go back to Rockford?
I mean, as you're bringing more kids up, maybe having him there makes a lot of sense.
So, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
But again, those sound like really good April and May podcasts.
Yes, let's save those. All right, next up is Jason Dickinson again. Was sort of asked, had it reached the point where players were tuning out Luke Richardson's message?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like our systems, we were still following it very well. We were still doing a lot of really good things. A lot of goals came off of different mistakes on a different night. It wasn't one glaring thing that we can say, oh, well, guys just didn't believe in this. It was kind of just a new thing every night that, we'd shoot ourselves in the foot, we'd ice a puck, we'd take a penalty, we would just do something to ourselves. It wasn't necessarily anything to do with us not respecting or listening to Luke as a coach.
Greg just said that, Jason.
Yeah. Is there an echo in here?
Yeah, so not a tune-out situation. I think everyone sort of felt like something needed to. I mean, look, we asked yesterday Alex Vlasic about it, and I said, hey, like, what's Luke like as a coach? And he wasn't directly responding about Luke, but he said something needs to change. Mm-hmm. That's a direct quote. And he said whether it's a call-up or a trade or whatever, something needs to change. Everyone seemed to feel it, and it was time. And I'm glad that Davidson, as he said earlier, like, you can't – once you have that seed planted in your head, like, you just have to act on it. Mm-hmm. It's like you're in high school and you're dating someone and you're like, once that exists, just pull the plug. It's over.
Yeah, I mean
the Jerry Seinfeld way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's there's some coded messaging there from Jason Dickinson there.
I would think so.
Bit. Like, we played the system and it still kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Next
up, now we move maybe 10 feet to our left.
Mm-hmm.
We shove Philip Kurashev out of the way.
Beat it, loser.
Who's got the unfortunate blocker next to Conor Bedard's. Conor Bedard comes in the door and says, holy F.
I love when we're all waiting for Bedard and Kurashev comes in first and you can see the little bit of panic on his face. Like, are they waiting for me?
No.
It's usually never.
You actually have to score a goal if you want us to talk to you. So
maybe that's why he's not scoring. F that. I don't want to talk to those people.
Talk to these people.
All right, here is me holding my phone between millions of heads. Here's Conor Bedard.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, mixed stuff with, you're excited for Anders coming in and everything, but, I had a good relationship with Luke. He's a really good guy, and, in the end, it's someone losing their job. So, obviously, it's upsetting. You build relationships with those guys, and it's, it's sad seeing anyone go for sure.
How was the first practice with Anders? I know it's kind of a meeting day for a lot of you guys with him.
Yeah, it was great. Really good pace. I thought we were, buzzing. Everyone was, putting a good sweat on, working really hard, and I think that's, how we want to play, and it's good to have the first skate with them and get comfortable and talk to them. And it's good we all know them a little bit from being at training camps and stuff like that. So it was a good first day.
What do you think has to change for this team to succeed?
Yeah, I think like I said there, play with a lot of pace consistently. That's a big thing is kind of consistency. We always seem to find little lapses in our game. That's going to happen. It's the NHL. Every other team's got great players, great teams. So, but it's just kind of handling those little lapses in the game, and I think that'll help us a lot.
Have you talked to some of the other guys who, like you said, I mean, you've had Anders, but fellow camp, stuff like that and everything. Have you talked with some of the guys who have had him in Rockford about what to expect?
Yeah, for sure. Just some guys that obviously know him and played for him a little bit. Some guys really recently, so that's great to have some guys that know what he kind of likes. But it's all been really positive stuff, and I know he's really excited to be here, and we're excited to have him. So just to keep building that trust, that relationship, and hopefully we can obviously play well for him.
What did he say to you all when you guys were kind of circled at the end there, wrapping up?
Just good practice, really. Not a whole lot. Nothing too exciting for you.
That's it. Conor Bedard, he was asked after that, did he reach out to Luke Richardson, and he said he's going to keep that private, so we cut that part of it out.
I think we can assume that he did.
I would assume he did, too.
They live in the same building. Yeah. They'll see each other at the supermarket in their building.
I always try to figure out what building it is.
I have an idea.
Is it the Greektown Whole Foods building?
Maybe. That's my guess.
That's kind of my feel, too.
We shouldn't be doxing players.
I'm not doxing anyone. I'm just...
That's my guess.
Supermarket,
I'm a clues,
condo,
but I don't know. I don't know all the. That's the only building I know in this area that has a supermarket. So,
with the condo on top.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't pay attention enough.
Or is it the what is it? The Madison? What is the place we always go to here? The little market with the sandwich. West Loop
Market? No, I don't think so.
That's not high end enough.
I don't think it's high enough then.
Yeah. But there's also like the Jules over there on
Jules.
On Halstead. Does that have a connected condo, or is it just across the street?
I don't think it does.
K2. Whatever. That's no big deal.
No, I'm sure Conor will just wait for him next to the All Brand cereal tomorrow. And talk to him, and they'll hug it out.
All of a sudden, that Whole Foods is canceling all orders of All Brand.
They'll hug it out as Conor grabs his box of Fruit Loops on the way by.
Oh yeah, like he's eating Fruit Loops.
Oh yeah,
He's never had Fruit Loops.
Never. Nothing earth-shattering from Conor, but
I will say not to make something out of nothing. But I will say that he did seem in good spirits. I think probably the message of up tempo, more pace in the game is something that he is excited to hear, and we'll hear from Anders and a big part of the change here is getting Bedard going in the right direction in his development again. So I think if I were Bedard, I would say, hey, if our emphasis is going to be more offensive based and getting more pace into our game, that would excite me.
I would think that would be very exciting for Conor Bedard. Yes. All right. That's going to do it for the televised portion of our show. If you want to keep watching, ALLCHGO.com is the place to do it. If you're on Roku, Samsung, etc. Xfinity, all those places.
Yeah, we're on Xfinity.
Otherwise, stick around or go to allchgo.com to continue watching. But we want to tell you about our top shelf suite takeover coming January 20th. Chicago versus Carolina. We're going to be in the suite with you, the CHGO Blackhawks fans. Tickets are on sale now at allchgo.com. And again, we like to reiterate this. Die Hard save $80 per ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost of a Die Hard membership is $80. So do yourself the math. Become a Die Hard, save on the ticket anyway. You're probably not going to go alone. So you're probably going to save $160 at least.
Right. Interesting.
So there you go. So jump on the Die Hard membership, save on your ticket to the Top Shelf Takeover. It's going to be a great time. Food, drink. You're going to get a CHGO t-shirt. You're going to get a signed puck from Alex Vlasic.
Mm-hmm.
That is confirmed. That is definitely happening. You're going to get to hang out with us for 3 periods. And this, unlike our other takeovers where we all sit together, but it's hard to kind of interact because
you're like in a row.
We're all facing the same way, and
like
we don't want to be in the way.
You and Mara try and talk to each other, but you're
now we're going to have the whole suite to mingle and intermissions and those sort of things. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you can make it. ALLCHGO.com. Navigate over to that events tab, and you'll click down the calendar, and it's like the third or fourth one down there. And you'll see info on the Bulls when it's happening on Derrick Rose night.
Hell yeah.
What day of the week is that?
January 4th.
January 4th. I'm
The
not sure
4th,
what day of the
okay.
week that is.
Yeah, January 4th,
Monday?
D Rose night.
Saturday?
First is a Wednesday. Second, it's a Saturday night.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
That's Saturday night, D
Hell
Rose
yeah.
game, Bulls in the suite.
In a
That's a
suite.
lot of fun too. So double dip.
Good way.
Join us in the suites, allchgo.com. We'll do it there. All right, continuing the show. Before we wrap up, we do want to hear from the new Blackhawks head coach, Anders Sorensen. Anders.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I could listen to this whole thing without knowing this whole discussion. Anders.
Are we playing him in full or no?
Yeah, we're playing him.
It's
in
there.
there.
It's in there.
Yeah,
So
he
we
is
in
will
there.
get to the bottom
Oh,
of
great.
this
This is exciting.
after Anders is done talking.
Here he is, Anders Sorensen.
What have the last 24-ish hours been like for you?
Lack of sleep, I guess. I mean, it's tough day in a way yesterday, but woke up this morning and ready to go to work.
What was your emphasis in practice today?
I just want to have a good pace and get some energy, and I thought touch a little bit on some D zone stuff, and just the biggest thing was just we got to enjoy the competitive part of the game and get up to speed that way.
What was your reaction when you found out yesterday where you're probably prepping for the next Rockford game and now you're trying to get together, what you're going to do today at the first practice?
Yeah, no, I think there was a lot of, your head's kind of spinning, right? And there's a lot of different directions, and you're going with everything, and just trying to kind of focus on, okay, what are we trying to get tomorrow? Like, what's practice going to look like tomorrow? What's the message going to be to the group? And that was probably the biggest thing once everything settled down.
This is a team with a lot of veterans on it. How do you win them over without having NHL head coaching experience?
Yeah, great question. They seemed really engaged today. I had some good conversations when I talked to Nick last night. Met with the leadership group and get their feel. They want to win. They have pride. They have a lot of them have won cups, and they're not happy with how we were playing, and they want to win. So when you kind of present, we're all in this together for that reason. I think it's a pretty common goal, and they were excited about that.
One of the struggles so far seems just offensively getting enough production, especially 5-5 in the cycle, and part of it seems the defense falls back, but also they're giving up less rush chances. What can you implement, or what obviously you don't have a lot of time to change systems, but how do you foresee maybe getting more out of this group?
Yeah, I think a lot of times that's a mentality as well, right? So we want to encourage our D to be up in the rush, and we did some stuff like that in practice today, and I think we need to get skating here. We have a team that can move. We have some guys that can really fly out there, so try to play to their strength, but just encouraging guys to be up the ice more, and defend on the front of our foot with our forecheck and be up versus waiting.
It's nice to have some familiarity with Vlasic and Kaiser and Reichel, some of the guys you worked with down in Rockford.
Yeah, no, it was good. Absolutely, they're great kids and they're great players, and it was nice to see them for sure.
What does it mean to you to be the first Swedish-born head coach in NHL history?
Honestly, I got that question a couple of times, but obviously I'm happy that we're here, right? And it's, I guess, a neat, part of it, but it's not something that, really, it's not about me either, right? Like, it's about this group and trying to get the best out of this group at this point, but I haven't really put too much time into it, to be honest with you.
What do you have to do, you think, to have the job permanently at the end of the year?
Win games. I think we want to see progress with a lot of our younger players, right? We want to make sure that we're kind of building off of this and progressing, and that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
With Bedard, what have your initial conversations been with him, and what do you think you could do to help him succeed more?
Yeah, we talked briefly today on the ice, and we're going to try to get together here, but curious to hear his thoughts a little bit, and he's one of those guys that we got to get him up the ice and get skating, and that's when he's at his best, and we all see what he can do when the puck's on his stick, right? So we got to get him, we got to get a way for him to get the puck in motion. That's the biggest thing right now.
One of the players mentioned that one difference they've seen already is that you stop the drill to say what you didn't like and to correct it. What do you say to that, and maybe other nuances that you bring
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of it, right? In practice, you have to, you want to see certain things, and if it's not the way we want to see it, then we try to stop and adjust it and make sure we're all on the same page, right? Because I think if you don't do that, then it kind of goes by the wayside, and that's when it gets a little bit confusing for players as well, right?
How different is it where in the AHL you're putting the same guy out there and you're trying to teach them, and not necessarily line matching, and you want to win games, but it's not the overall goal sometimes. How different then, I guess, as you a coach, maybe planning NHL and maybe how you do structure within games your strategies?
Yeah, that will be an adjustment for sure, right? And I'll lean on the staff that's been here too and get their input. And we have some of that in the AHL, but obviously it's magnified at this level. So we got to make sure we're really prepared going into the game, and we have our matchups all set. So
speaking of staff, going back to a few years ago when Derek came up here as interim coach, and you have been working with him, and now it's kind of flipped. Is that strange to you?
No, he's a great human being. I think he's a very humble person. So we have a good relationship. So there's no issues. We actually rode in together this morning, so no problem.
Do you prefer Anders or Anders?
Either way. I've been called a lot worse. So
we can call you by what you want to be called.
Yeah, Anders is fine. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you decide the lines today?
We talked through it as a staff and with management, and we just there's been some juggling going on, but I think there's been some history with some of the guys, and so we want to take a look at this and see what it looked like, and I thought it looked good today. So
the frequency at which they've been changing had been kind of a hot button issue with Luke the past couple months. Do you intend to try to find something that works and stick with it longer?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I think chemistry is a big part of it, right? And we want to try to be patient with some of the guys, and obviously, but there has to be an accountability too, right? If you're not playing the way we want you to play, or we're not putting the effort in, then yeah, there's going to be times where you have to change the lines because of that, right? The other thing is we have some lines that are really working too, so we want to keep those guys together for sure, because sometimes when you take a guy off a line that's working to help somebody else out, that messes everybody up, right? So yeah, I think we're trying to build some continuity in that area for sure. But we'll see how it goes.
With a lot of those Rockford guys like Nazar, or are you going to try to make a case with management that maybe some of them are going to need to come up?
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, I mean, it's a dialogue we have internally, right? But yeah, they're doing real well, and they're progressing really well down there, and hopefully we'll see them here sooner or later.
This is obviously everyone's dream, but did you feel like you were trending toward this, or did you feel ready as you looked at your progression through, I guess, the organization over the last decade?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I've been a real big believer of kind of where my 2 feet are is where I'm going to work and try to get better, and then kind of we'll see what happens. Obviously, like you said, you always want to strive to improve and get up to higher levels. So it's kind of surreal right now. I'm trying to digest. There's a lot of people even in this room, right? So, yeah, I mean, part of me, I feel like you're ready, but there's also parts I'm sure we're going to have to learn a little bit on the fly here, and I think we have a great staff around here to help me out. So I'm really leaning on those guys as well.
What did you come to learn about Luke as a person?
He's an awesome person. Yeah, I had nothing but a lot of respect for him. I learned a lot from him, and yeah.
All right, are we having this debate on the show?
Yeah, why not?
Sure,
what the
why
hell?
not?
So he says Anders is fine.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is, I know it's easier for you American beat writers to say Anders because it is the American way of saying A-N-D-E-R. So he's just conceding it.
The difference between Anders and Anders isn't so drastic that us dumb Americans can't know the difference.
I think they used to call him Kyle Ortman.
Okay, well,
Mitch Trubinsky
and Jake McCown.
I'm not talking about 670 callers. I'm talking about Americans, red-blooded Americans.
I mean, 670 callers are pretty much the.
All right, you want to go with the bit, or you want to be literal? Look, he's asking. He was asked, "What do you prefer?" He says, "Anders." That's it.
All right,
it's
2-minute
Anders.
YouTube poll law.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Is he
Guys, I wanna go home.
Is he accepting the American pronunciation, or is it actually pronounced Anders?
For what it's worth, Kayla of the PR staff said Anders and said that's what he wants to be called in the locker room.
It's Anders.
So
I will not.
Debate settled. You don't even need to put a poll up. It's been confirmed.
Just call him
it's
Sorensen.
Anders.
Sorzy.
Yeah.
Andy. See, no.
Sorzy.
Andy.
This team will refuse to hate the league.
Andy.
Anders Sorensen. It just sounds so much better.
I'm with Corey. Anders always makes me think of Workaholics.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Anders.
So much for that. It's Anders. Cool.
I'm just doing it wrong.
Can't wait
call
to
him
see.
Durs. I think that's the best idea.
Yeah, I'll call him Durs tomorrow during his pregame media availability.
Hopefully,
see how it goes.
Dursy.
What's up, Durs?
Hopefully, by the end of his tenure, we won't be referring him to anything, any kind of adjectives or anything like that.
Yeah, there you go. Lebowski 5 says, now do Camesso. Is there another way to say Camesso?
Camesso or Camezzo?
It's Camesso.
Just don't make us do Nazar.
Camesso. It's Nazar.
It is Nazar.
Nazar. From his mouth, it's Nazar.
Yeah. But he didn't say Nazar is fine. He said it's Nazar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay.
Thank you.
This isn't a Soderblom,
which we still don't know the answer
situation. Soderblom.
Then why do the two brothers pronounce it different?
Because they're
make it make sense. What's with the Swedes?
There's an internal Soderblom civil war going on.
What's with the Swedes and their names? Why can't they just be Jims and Bobs and
Jim Bob?
All right,
Jim Bob Davis.
And what's up with them wearing visors
Jim
too?
Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, Jim Bob Cooter.
What's with these lazy Russians?
It's currently 2-1 Anders right now.
Thank you. All right, end the poll.
Settled.
Well,
Stop the count.
Two people are wrong.
Stop the vote. Stop the vote.
All right. We are back tomorrow. Yep. Hawks play
Anders
Jets
talks at
3
12:30.
and Anders Sorensen's coaching debut. So we'll talk to you after that game. Probably 6-ish?
Sure.
6:15-ish.
Why not?
We'll be here.
No days off.
Don't miss it. Talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
Y'all silly like the mayor.